Now here's some of the greens that you're going to need for painting the apple. You want a nice bright apple green, and I like the Azo Yellow mixed with Viridian, or the Azo Yellow with Phthalo Green. With Ultramarine and Cobalt Blue makes a darker green that's good for shading, not so good for the first layer. You want something that's nice and bright. So before I start painting the apple, I want to just wet it all over. This is a little piece of 4 by 6 inch paper, 140-pound paper in a fluid block. Very easy to paint on if you're doing little studies. I usually use Arches, but these little books that are glued on 2 sides are so handy for a little study. Now I'm going to put that light green all over the apple and the leaves, and that has to dry before doing the red layer. If you put the red layer on now, you are going to get brown and lots of brown, and it won't be a crisp, clear red layer. You won't be able to control it, so that has to dry perfectly dry. And just to make sure it's completely dry, I want to work on the leaves first while the body is drying. And I've darkened up that light green I made. I've added some Prussian blue and some Ultramarine blue to the mix. I might sometimes dip in my Hooker's green too, or the sap green, to vary it. And I just put a little bit of Azo Yellow in the corner there to do the highlight on that leaf. Now these leaves were on the apple when I took them off the tree. I wanted them to look like natural apples, and I'm not really sure what variety they were. It was an old tree. I think I researched a little bit. I think they might be called sunrise apples, but of course I don't know for sure. I liked them because they had the bright green and the red over the top. So that was really nice. Now I added a little bit of raw sienna in the corner there for the stem. And this is just the first layer on the stem. I'll be adding darker browns when this is dry, but I like to put a lot of the lights on first. But that leaf, that sort of standalone leaf, that was fine to do some darker greens on there. Now I have some Vermilion. I don't very often use Vermilion, but it's a beautiful colour. It's one I've just got actually, and it is a more orangey red, and this apple was a very orangey red. So I've wet parts of the apple so I can get a soft edge when I put that Vermilion on. And I'm going to look at the photograph I took of the apple and look very carefully where the red is and leave completely free of red where the green shows through. And the reason I wet it first was to get some soft edges where that happens, so it makes the apple look round and shiny. And I had to dab that up a little bit with my Kleenex because it was spreading too much into the green. Now I'm using some Cadmium Red to darken the red up underneath where it's more shaded and under the leaf. And I'm painting in the direction of the colour on the apple. The colour comes sort of from the middle there where the stem is, and it goes out and around the apple and then back down to the bottom of the apple. And if you follow the shape of the apple with your brush strokes and the sort of the stripes that the colour sometimes makes, then it will make it look more realistic. And I'm going for realistic here because these are studies that we're doing. These are studies of how things are formed, what colours are on the objects, the simple objects around us. Of course, I'm using some sort of impressionistic wet in wet techniques, but mostly I'm going for a realistic study. Not hyper-realism, I'm not interested in that, but I do want to understand how ordinary objects are formed. Where are the shadows? Where are the highlights? What shape do the colours make on these apples? And of course, every apple you pick up is going to be completely different. Now I'm working alternately with the Vermilion and a little Cadmium Red, and I will be putting on a darker layer when this layer has dried. Red is very bright when you put it on, and it dries quite light once it's dried. You often need 2 or 3 layers of red. Here are some of the colours I use. The Vermilion, you see the very orangey red. Cadmium Red, much deeper. Deep Crimson, I don't use that one very often, but I found it in my selection of paints. And then I have used the green mixed with the Vermilion to show you a sort of greenish brown and the different colours the mix is. Now, here it's dried, and I'm going back with Cadmium Red now to make the darker shadows on the apple. And I'm only wetting just the tiny parts that are light green. I want to be very careful about where I put this red. And I've always got my Kleenex in my hand so that I can dab up any water that's spreading too much. With each layer, I am going to put on more and more detail, and the reds will become deeper and stronger as I put more layers of red. If you want a dark red, you can see at the back of the apple I've made it darker. I mixed the red, the cadmium red, with my dark green mix to make it darker at the back. If you want a good dark value, use your complementary colour. Green is the complementary colour of red, so that will make your reds pop if you use them in the shadows and on the darks. And sometimes with this texture on the apple, I'm using what's called scumbling. That's where you have a brush that is quite dry. You can put the paint on the brush and then dab it off on a towel till it's almost dry, and use that dry brush and drag it across the dry paper, and you will get a sort of scumbled texture on the surface that actually looks very much like the skin of the apple. And I do that several times when I'm doing the layers on this apple. And because I'm restricted to a 15-minute upload on YouTube, and also 15 minutes is enough to sit and watch a video, I think, I do some of the work off camera. So you may see when I cut and come back, a little bit more has been added than when I stopped. And that's just has to be practical, I'm afraid. Now I have mixed my Quinacridone Magenta with some Phthalo Blue to make a very intense purple to do the shadows on the shaded side of this apple. I could have mixed the red with the green, but I wanted something just a little bit more vibrant than that, and I'm putting some shading where the leaf forms a shadow and along the side of the apple, and of course just towards the bottom of the apple. I have to be very, very careful not to put too much shading. I don't want it to get too dark. And I'm darkening up my green with some Ultramarine Blue and some Phthalo Blue, and I'm painting the shadow behind the stem, which was quite dark. And all the time I'm looking at my photo I took of this apple, comparing my values on the leaves, on the apple, looking at the darks. Sometimes just because there's green in the apple in several places and it's a similar green, where it's in shadow it's going to be considerably bluer and a little bit darker in value. Now I'm working on the leaf at the top here. Slowly it folds back on itself, so what I'm painting there is the fold underneath as the leaf is folded over. It's dried a little bit, and the reason I had to work from a photograph was I kept the apple for a while and then made it into applesauce. I couldn't keep it long enough to have it there to paint it, but I did photograph it so that I had a photo reference to go from. And you can see there I've added cadmium red to the side of the green to mix some darker greens and some shadow on the leaves and the stem. The stem where it came off the tree was quite dark, almost a black brown, and I will put that on in layers. Start with a dark brown, and that will lighten up as it dries, and then I will put another layer and probably a third layer on that stem. It's surprising how light it becomes as it dries. A little bit of a leaf sticking out on the other side, which I will tackle later. I go slowly, I don't want to go too dark too soon, and the layers of dark make it more interesting. You have several layers of colour showing through. So I'm using my Viridian and my Azo Yellow a little bit of Phthalo Blue, a little bit of Cadmium Red. I'm mixing a second dark green. That's a little bit brighter than the one in my first tray there. And you can see what I've done in the first tray. I've had the light green, and then I've mixed a dark green, and then I've mixed a brown. I've tried to mix them side by side, but eventually it all became too brown, and I needed to have a fresh dark green mix that was brighter. And I'm using the red to mix my browns. Quite often I'll use burnt sienna for a brown, but when you have these beautiful colours that you can just mix your red and your green, you're already using the colours, everything's unified in your picture. Really not many colours used in this. So I've just cut back to where I've finished and dried that off. I'm putting a few of the little scabs that were on the apple. As I say, I wanted it to be fairly realistic, and these were on there. Deepening up the shadows. And if you go slowly, if you put these layers on little by little, you can really control where everything goes, and so you don't make any mistakes. Very, very slow, controlled painting. And that's what a study is. And really, really look at your subject matter. I actually noticed when I was looking at the leaves of the different apples, they're quite jagged. They're a little bit like a rose leaf. They have a fairly jagged edge, at least on the apples that I was looking at. Now I just want to paint a shadow with Ultramarine Blue under the apple, and I'm going to add a little bit of green to that, a reflected green from the apple, and that will help set off the red if I have a little bit of green in the shadow underneath the apple. Just remember, this is just using your complementaries and how beautiful they look, how they make each other pop. The red makes the green pop, the green makes the red pop. Now I have that brush that's got a little bit of paint on, and I'm just going to scumble in a few of the stripy sort of textures on the apple. And this is where I almost I've dried the brush, and I just sort of drag it over the surface of the paper in the direction of the shape of the apple. So I'm always imagining it sort of like a sculpture, imagining the roundness of the shape, the form. And these are just the finishing details. And that kind of rusty look to the skin. This was a really fun one to paint. And I did go back with a little bit of Azo Yellow and yellow up the highlights on the green. You can never make that decision right at the very start. It's best to start nice and light and then add more colour later if you feel that you need to. I'm putting in a little bit of background, sort of a green, like a green tabletop for the apple to sit on, just to make the red pop. Hey, thank you for watching.